Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where we explore a different industry and talk about how technology is transforming it. But we don't want to get bogged down with corporate speak, because I believe that children are the future. Love them well and let them lead the way. Give them a sense of pride. Sorry, wrong podcast. One of the things that has fascinated me about our education system and parenting is that we teach kids the kind of things that they will never use again and then set them free into the real world. And adults will mock them, saying, look at them, they don't have a clue. It's because we haven't taught them anything of value. But when your internet goes down or you need help with Photoshop, boomers are not so cocky then, are they? So today, I'm quite excited to learn more about GoHenry. And they're on a mission to make the next generation of young people better at managing their money, better than the generation before them. And as the UK's first digital family banking solution, they offer young people aged between 6 and 18 a prepaid Visa debit card and app that comes with unique parental controls. And those tools are designed to actually empower children to develop good money habits, while also giving parents peace of mind as an easier way to manage pocket money and allowances. I've probably revealed far too much already, but if you like technology and want to use tech to help your kids and help them understand how to manage their money and prepare them for life as an adult, you're going to love this one. But I'm sure you've heard enough from me already. So we're going to speak with Dean Brower, co-founder of GoHenry. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name's Dean, and I'm one of the co-founders of GoHenry. And today, after spending a lot of time in the UK, I now lead our US business. We launched in 2012. The company was set up by a group of parents and friends, and we really have a simple mission, which is to help millions of kids learn to be good with money.
And my understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, that GoHenry is a debit card which uses Mastercard and app with unique parental controls for young people, typically aged between 6 to 18, which helps them learn good money habits and empowers them to earn, save, spend, and give safely and responsibly. But can you set the scene and tell me how it works and the problem that you actually set out to solve right from the beginning?
Yeah, no problem. That's a better pitch than I could do. That's exactly it. We issue through Mastercard in the United States, and in the UK, we issue through Visa. Look, I think it all starts with a simple mission, as I said, and it's to help millions of kids be good with money. We help them become confident with managing money, and we also make it really easy for parents to manage the family's allowance. So what we're really doing is empowering kids and teens to understand the value of their money, how to budget, how to manage their finances. And we do this by giving them some freedom to take charge of their own spending and saving in a safe environment under the guidance of their parents. And why this is important is, we all believe that financial literacy is important. And research has shown that children actually develop their habits and attitudes towards money from as young as the age of 7, and that in fact it's their parents that play the biggest role in shaping these habits and attitudes. So we came to the market and for a variety of reasons, which we'll get into, but one of the things that just doesn't make sense is to delay learning about money till kids are older. Like we learn as young kids to ride a bike, we learn English and math and science. We should start to learn about money from a younger age. And this early practical experience that GoHenry offers, that's the space we play, is we offer a very practical learning experience for kids. And this early experience really helps to get kids into thinking about money, learning about money, and doing it in a practical way, because we all know kids learn best by doing it themselves. And the app works for parents as a tool, and it's a tool to guide kids through the stages of learning about money and digital finance. So parents use the app to set a regular automatic allowance. They could set up tasks and chores for their kids. They can make one-off real-time payments to their kids' cards. And then they could set some boundaries for where kids can spend within certain categories of spend, like online, in-store spend, or spending limits, which are weekly and per transaction. So all of this helps parents to feel confident to give their kids this freedom and independence to start to learn and make mistakes early. We always say better your kids make a $10 mistake when they're 12 than a $10,000 mistake at 18 when they get their first credit card when they get onto campus to go to college. So for kids, it empowers them to set savings goals, so they can set long and short-term savings goals, track their spending by category, size of spend, and it's all done in easy to understand graphical interfaces. They can personalize their card to make GoHenry unique to them. They can make donations to charity. So with saving and giving, it's all about helping kids build a habit. Our giving feature allows kids to start to think about money as something for others rather than just something to be used for themselves. So that's a pretty powerful lesson. We've also allowed parents to invite friends and relatives to contribute to the kids' cards. So, for instance, grandparents who want to help out with allowance, or friends and relatives can actually send in birthday gifts to the kids. So, it's about connecting them to their wider financial life, doing it under guidance of a parent and in a safe and responsible way.
I love the idea here, because I think what's fascinated me for some time now is schools and parents have long taught kids or passed down kids with skills that they're just not going to use again. These are skills that were from an analog world, but of course now it's a digital world. And then we're setting them free into the world and thinking, oh, they're clueless when they go out there, but because we've not given them any proper advice to get by in life. But I'm curious, what is the story behind GoHenry? Was it the result of being a concerned parent, or was it something completely different?
No, it was actually started by a group of friends and parents, and like any good entrepreneurial story, it was born out of a need that existed in our own families, and it was noticed that kids were starting to spend online, so their spending behavior was moving into more of from a cash-based method of spending into more of the digital economy. So kids were starting to spend like more money on their iTunes accounts than candies at the convenience store, for instance. And they were using, when you looked at how they were spending online, they were using their parents' credit cards to buy stuff on iTunes, and expensive mistakes felt really close. So by using the parents' card, they weren't taking ownership of their spending. And as we noticed the spending moved from, candies and magazines to digital purchases, we wondered how would they actually learn about money in a digital economy. So all of this stuff happening within our own families and looking at the kids' spending behavior and them not feeling them using their parents' cards and looking at how they're going to learn about money made us look at what the banks were doing to support financial literacy for young people. And to our surprise, and you could say delight, there was nothing. And we were surprised and delighted by that, because that got us excited about starting a business and solving this problem. And we figured if we could solve it for, our children and their friends within our communities, we could probably solve it for a global community, because we do see this as a problem to solve, across the world. Anywhere where allowance is part of the culture, kids are connected to the internet, and parents are connected to the internet, and where financial literacy feels like an important subject, we can help. So we fast forward, we started the business 2012, and we fast forward to today, and we have a community of over 850,000 active users in the UK and the US. And the thing that ties everyone together in our community is you have a group of families who fiercely believe that good money management is a vital life skill, as you alluded to earlier.
It really is, because it seems like now we're living in this cashless world for a huge part. And I've seen firsthand how grandparents will give their grandchildren a few pounds or a few dollars. And then the kid looks like, well, what am I going to do with this physical cash? It seems like something from another age. But the grandparents don't use online banking, so they give it to the parents, and the parents has to transfer it to the kids. Or it's a real problem, isn't it?
Yeah. What we've always heard from parents is there's a few things that were happening with the cash-based method of allowance. One, it was incredibly inconvenient because the parent never has, the right amount of money and the right amount of change. When allowance day comes, they forget to give. It enters into a spiral of a little bit of a negative source of tension in the family where the kids are, bothering the parents to remind them to give the money. Parents forget to give the money. Then they forget what they should give them the money for. And it's just a, vicious circle. And one thing we solve is just when you move them into a digital allowance, you create a lot of convenience for the parent to get on top of an allowance regime. So with the cash-based method, this forgetfulness of paying out the allowance also means the parent breaks the cycle of their allowance regime. So we fix all that and make it really convenient and easy. And what we've heard from parents is that when their kids move from a cash-based method of allowance to a digital allowance, our customers tell us that they often go from super spenders to super savers. So the cash is something that's burning a hole in their pocket. They just want to race down to the convenience store, buy some candy, a little toy and get on with it. Or it sits in a piggy bank that they never touch and forget about. Whereas with the GoHenry card and the GoHenry app, they have access to their money, they have oversight of their money as kids, and they can spend the money that is given to them and start to make their own choices. And the second they start to make their own choices, they start to make better choices because they're getting a real-time feedback with the system and the service we offer. So every spend, they receive a notification telling them how much they've just spent, and the crucial thing is how much they have left to spend. So right away, when they're looking at a new pair of jeans or a Beyblade or a new game on Steam or Xbox, they're seeing that in real time, what's happening when they're making that choice, and they could course correct. So it becomes it's a light touch, practical learning experience, but it's a pretty powerful one. That's consistent, and we've heard stories like that since we started the business.
I think it's a great idea, and I'm completely sold on it. But of course, the secret to the success of any new tech solution is always going to be on adoption. And I believe that GoHenry already has over 850,000 users across the US and UK. So I'm curious, what kind of challenges did you have to overcome to get that kind of adoption?
Well, we see it as we created a category. As the first to market, we had to create this category. So our biggest challenge has been making people aware of the service. So when we first launched in the UK, and we're the first company to expand internationally when we launched in the US in 2018, that challenge of awareness and building trust with the market was the single biggest challenge. The great thing is that when parents discover it, which is often through a referral from a friend or family member, they get very excited. They see the need, as you have, and it's pretty easy to sign up and get on board and give it a try. And we work to eliminate all the risk possible for a parent to give it a try and then get going. So we have families using the service from all walks of life. We have parents who themselves have told me they've struggled with credit card debt and they don't want their kids to repeat those same mistakes. We have single income households all the way to people with a lot greater means, and they're tied together because they want to ensure their kids understand the value of money, feel confident when it comes to managing money. And we're really covering the broad cross-section of society we see in the UK and the US. In the US, this is not a coastal product. It's not just for people in New York and California. We're seeing adoption all across the country. And as I said, we're seeing all types of families who are using it, because actually when you ask them what they're buying, they don't believe they're buying a financial literacy tool. So we're kind of in sector terms, we're like ed tech meets fintech in a way. And we also have some very famous people using GoHenry who have come to the service organically, which is pretty cool.
Oh, is any names you can mention there? Or
I can't. No, I can't do that. No, I can't. I wouldn't do that for any customer. It's just it's just really cool that people who are in popular culture and are really keen on helping their kids become, financially literate, and it's all about building their confidence from a young age.
Absolutely. And you've also had several successful funding rounds and even beat Crowdcube records. So for any startup founders listening, is anything that you can share about your experience and any lessons learned from that period?
Yeah, for sure. That was we've done 2 crowdfunding rounds, one in 2016 and one in 2018. We've raised a total of just over £10 million, and about £2 million came from our own customers, which really humbled us and excited us, because we were really, floored to have the community get behind, our own users and community get behind the raise. So for other people considering this, before we went ahead, there was a lot of diligence done. We believed crowdfunding offered a viable route to raise a meaningful amount of capital, and that turned out to be true for us. And as a company founded by parents, we were really attracted to the idea that we could be funded by parents as well. So not only just founded by parents, but funded by parents. So allowing our customers to be part owners in our company and support our journey, it really just felt like the right thing to do for our business. We have a large community of families who use the product. They love it. They trust us. And this put us in a great position for crowdfunding. And the lessons are, with crowdfunding, you can leverage 3 sources of funds into your company by doing a crowdfunding campaign. You can leverage your existing customers. You could leverage your existing investors. So often people who are starting crowdfunding maybe have done an angel or seed round. So you can have your existing investors participate. And then you can access the crowd's community of investors, of people who are looking to invest in great causes and great business and great entrepreneurs that they want to get behind. So it can make a lot of sense to go through the crowdfunding route. And what Crowdcube does, it provides a platform to support you generating capital, equity capital from those 3 sources, which is, again, investors, your own customers, and then the community of the platform you go with. And in our case, we went with Crowdcube, and that was an obvious choice to us because they were, from our point of view, the leaders in the market and had raised the most amount of money for companies. So, we seek to continue to finance the company. And of course, it's possible that an institutional investor would come on board. But for any startup that's considering it, I think either way, whether you go the VC or no VC route, it's a really good internal debate to have for a startup. And I think overall, great companies have a lot of choice in the market now. And there's increasingly more ways for a company to raise funds to facilitate their growth. So, I think, and clearly equity crowdfunding, particularly for businesses in the UK and Europe, because, it's a nascent category in the US, and it's quite established in the UK and Europe. And that's just due to, I think, the UK and Europe just being further ahead on innovating around the regulation to be able to allow for companies to do this. But whatever road you go down, as any startup team and founder and entrepreneur knows, is whatever road you go down, there's challenges and it's hard work, and nothing is a given. So we would always recommend to companies where they're in a market that it's viable to explore equity crowdfunding for all the reasons I said.
And if we were to zoom out just for a moment, what kind of role do you see mobile apps and technology, what kind of role do you see them playing in teaching financial health to kids today?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I could talk about it from our experience and our customers' experience. And what we see is that it's helping a lot. And the stat I can point to for this is some third-party research done with our customer base, and 86% of parents said their children are better at managing money since starting to use GoHenry. And that is a kid who has an app paired with a card, and the app makes the card smart for both the parent and the child. And I think tech and apps can help kids become financially fit. So this is a concept we talk a lot about, financial fitness. We talk a lot about it when we're designing our product. And I liken it to the way health trackers and fitness apps are helping people stay motivated and on top of their health. I think finance is similar, as digital offers the opportunity to educate people and nudge people toward positive behavior right at the point of use. Not 30 days later, but right at the point of use, when they're thinking about saving for something, they're thinking about making a spending, and post-spending, it's real-time feedback. And that data is a powerful thing to coach and nudge people towards the right behaviors. So our customers tell us all the time how helpful things like real-time notifications on their spending are, or how a graphical user interface and budgeting tools can help them stay on top of their money and work towards their goals. Now, for us, when we bring it into the GoHenry world, when we're talking about kids, there is, of course, an opportunity to use both cash and digital money to help kids learn. We allow both, and we're always concerned with offering a practical learning experience. But cash can be particularly useful for young kids at a stage when they're learning, like they're just starting to learn concepts of math and are becoming more aware of money. You know, the tangibility of money during those periods, where it's like really low spend, is great. But ultimately, we feel we're quickly moving toward a future without physical money. This isn't a debate we're starting. This is just the data suggests this. And that this generation of kids is actually going to be affected the most by this change into a digital economy. And the Gen Z is the first generation that will be cashless. So we think of it as offering a way to help kids interact with both cash and the digital economy, and to do that in a safe way with oversight from their parents. And as we head towards this increasingly cashless society, I think it'll be important that the next generation builds this confidence to manage money in a digital economy. So we are obsessed about providing the best service possible, the best technology, whether that's leading chip technology to make spending, really safe and pin protected spending, or whether it's designing the most beautiful, intuitive apps that just work really fast and are, hosted in the best technology. We're big believers in it. Our customers, we're seeing, the efficacy of the service with them, and we're really feeling good about how technology and apps will help people stay on top of their finances.
And as you race towards 1 million users, I'm curious, what kind of feedback have you received from both users and their parents?
Oh, so much, like really so much. I encourage anyone to read our reviews on Trustpilot or the App Store and Google Play, because that just gives you a sense of what customers think, and you can, sort it through yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because we're just humans creating a business. We're not going to get everything perfect, but we actually have a funny thing in our business where we actually get customers writing us letters about how we're so helpful to their kids. And it always humbles us, it blows us away, and it's why we work hard every day. But you have stories that are, I've spoken to. I spend a lot of time talking to our customers. It's a weekly routine of mine of picking customers in different geographical areas and, just inviting them to jump on the phone with me and speak. And, they always respond. So I speak to a lot of customers. And stories that stand out for me are things like I once spoke to a single mom in Houston who was a teacher. And she said to me, well, since we started to use GoHenry, you're saving me tons of money. I said, what do you mean? It's paid for service, and that's great. I'm glad we can save you money. But what do you mean? And she said, well, I used to go to the mall with my daughter, and I had a really hard time saying no. She's 11 years old. I want to give her everything. And we go to the mall, and she would just we'd leave spending $150 on stuff that didn't feel that exciting to her 24 hours later. And with GoHenry, when we walked into the mall, she had $40 on her card, and she was able to make choices. And we only spent $10 that day because she didn't want to let go of her own money. So by putting her in control of her money, as the story I told you earlier, I'm saving tons of money every week, and I feel great, and she feels empowered. We have other anecdotes, or we actually have we worked with this great charity over the years in the UK. It's not an official partners of ours, but we knew her early, got to know this lady named Anna Kennedy early on in the growth of our company. And Anna set up a school for kids on the autistic spectrum. And we have, that's one area where we have a group of customers who are on the spectrum. And what's been interesting is that, GoHenry's benefits are the same for a kid on the spectrum as a kid who isn't on the spectrum, but they're heightened for someone on the spectrum, and it's giving them confidence and independence. And one of the stories that always stands out is we have this kid who was on, he would go to KFC after school with his friends, and he'd buy the whole restaurant chicken because he didn't have any boundary. And with GoHenry, because his mom could put in spending limits, it became an opportunity for him to go and feel proud he had a card and spend within his means rather than blow all his cash. We have kids who have gone from, as said before, super spenders to super savers. And a story that sticks out recently is from a grandparent. So we have, sometimes grandparents get their grandkids GoHenry cards instead of the parent. And there was a family in Dallas that I met the grandpa, and he got cards for 3 grandkids, and they're now becoming really, really great savers. So the oldest girl is, I think she's maybe a year out from her prom. So she's saving for her prom dress through the GoHenry app. So she set up a goal, put how much she wants to save and by when. And each week we automate that for her so she could work towards getting her prom dress. And then the youngest girl, who's 11, has in 1 year saved $500 on GoHenry. She's just become this intense saver, and she feels so proud from it. And then we have everything in between. And, it's honestly, there's so many stories. We had a girl in hospital for a while. She had a GoHenry card, and she unfortunately was sick. And she set up a whole business and was able to take in money by selling greeting cards in the hospital for kids, and felt like she was so empowered because all that money could go into her GoHenry account and she could see it and manage it. And, so it's obviously a huge source of inspiration, all these stories and all these families using it.
Wow, that really is inspirational. It's great to hear so many powerful, real stories from families. I think it's incredible. And for any parent listening thinking, wow, this is a great idea and I want to help educate my children on managing their money, can you just walk me through the setup process and what's waiting for people listening to us today as they check out the website or download the app while they're listening to this conversation?
Yeah, so it's really easy. I mean, it takes about 3 minutes to sign up yourself and your kids. You could either go to GoHenry.com to sign up, or to your, favorite app store, iOS or Android, Google Play. And when you sign up, what's waiting for you is we we ask for some personal information around you and your kids, and we have to do an identity check. We're a financially regulated product, and we're offering a financial service. So just like, getting a credit card as an adult or a bank account, you got to go through an identity check. We don't do a credit check. It's not a credit check. It's just an identity check. And then from there, the fun stuff happens. You can personalize your kids' cards. You can set up how much allowance you want to give them. And after 3 minutes of going through the sign-up process, we could get you a card within 5 days in the UK or within about 7 days in the US. It will land in your mailbox. Then both the parent and child can download the GoHenry app. So within the app, there's a view for parents and a view for kids. It's kind of like how Netflix has separate accounts for the family, but all in one app. That's kind of the same. We use a similar concept in GoHenry. And then once the kids get started, they could set up, in the app, they could set up their own savings goals. They could start to set up micro donations to our charity partners in the UK. Our charity feature is supported by the NSPCC, which is, the number one child helpline. And in the US, we work with Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Both concepts allow kids to help other kids. So they can set up micro donations for those charities. They could track their spending. They can customize their card. And then the parents can set up the allowance, set up tasks for their kids to check off, and invite, friends and family to contribute to the kids' savings. So we think of it as a pretty well-rounded service, as our customers do, and we really are building out the product around financial pillars of learning. So we think of it as there's a feature for earning, there's a feature for saving, there's features for spending, there's features for giving, and you can see us extending that over time into other areas of financial literacy that our families feel are very important to them.
Excellent. And there's a question I've just realised I should have asked earlier on, of course. Where did the name come from? Where did GoHenry come from?
Yeah. So we always wanted something active, that was about kids going out and experiencing the world. And we used to, when we first started in the earliest days, we had a different name. And actually the first transaction ever in our service was by a boy named Henry. So like everything in this business, we're funded by parents, and we are even inspired by the first use ever of a transaction on our system. So GoHenry really is about kids going out and experiencing the world, but we allow kids to personalize the card. So for many, many, many of our customers, it's actually Go Neil or Go Dean or Go Chelsea or Go Lauren or Go Jess or Rachel. So the idea is that the Go allows us to make the service unique to each child. So often when a kid is experiencing GoHenry, they're actually experiencing it as a personalized experience.
Love it. And looking towards the future, where do you take it from here? What's your grand vision for GoHenry for 2020 and beyond?
Well, look, as I said before, we see a global need, and we believe the business can be a global player. So, but our goal is really to continue to build towards our simple mission. That's what it's all about. It's to help millions of kids be good with money. Every day we strive to be a resource to address the increasing opportunities for kids to learn about money at a young age in order to set them up for success in the future. That's what gets us excited. That's what motivates us. That's what we spend all our time doing. We believe strongly in providing a tier 1 service for families. That means it's beautiful, intuitive apps, great customer support 7 days a week, and the highest standards in tech we can provide. And we have a model, and we like that model and formula, and we will continue to spend all of our time focusing on that.
Love it. And I absolutely love chatting with you today. And for everyone listening that want to download the app, find more information online, or contact a member of your team, could you just point them in the best direction of doing that?
Yeah, just visit GoHenry.com or the iOS and Android app stores, and you'll find us. So it's GoHenry, GoHenry.com. And, thanks, Neil, for having us on the show. We're fans of the podcast, and we really appreciate you taking the time to hear how we're helping the next generation of really switched on, young, bright people.
Well, I absolutely love what you're doing here. Something that really struck a chord with me a few moments ago when you said, this is the first generation that's going to be completely cashless. That's Gen Z, of course. And there's a lot of responsibilities that go with that. Yes, you've got to educate them. You've got to give them something that's easy to use, but also make sure it's safe. But what I love more than anything is that very human story right at the heart of GoHenry too. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on and share that with me today. Thanks again, Dean.
Thanks so much, Neil.
This was one of those episodes that felt quite special to me. I think Dean was a great guy, and love how they're using technology to help kids manage money before they enter life as an adult. And I had so much fun deep diving with him about the company, the human story behind it, and of course the role of apps and technology in teaching financial health to our children. And GoHenry has raised $12 million from equity crowdfunding already. 7 million in November 2018. I think it was 5 million in 2016, breaking all Crowdcube records. And when you combine that with the fact that they're approaching 1 million users, it's clear to me that they're onto something here. But what are your thoughts? Are you glad to hear a positive tech story about helping kids with tech rather than screen banning? Or do you think we missed anything? As always, email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. But that's it for another episode. We'll return again tomorrow with another guest. We'll talk about a completely different topic, about how technology is transforming an industry or indeed our lives. So a big thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.